For the last 100 years or so, we've been banging and clattering around in internal combustion engine vehicles. One of those kind of engines is called a diesel engine. The difference is one hasn't got a spark plug and one has got a spark plug. And that's really the main difference between the two. But diesel actually can do a lot more. Its compression is higher, it's able to pull harder, it's able to pull more stuff much further distance. It can work in basically any environment, in basically any weather. But what actually started out as an engine belonged to a man called Rudolf Diesel to run some trains and boats has ended up being the dominant force in the Irish market. And here's why. Over the last few decades, the European Union has particularly encouraged diesel sales. They've reduced the VAT, they've reduced the VRT and VAT on basically every part of a diesel engine. So much so it completely unbalanced the market. As you can see from the sales figures here, that diesel unfairly outsold petrol by quite some distance. In Ireland, you can actually claim the VAT back on all the fuel you use after you buy a diesel if you're in your own business. That meant the trickle-down effect belonging to that VAT back meant that all of these personal use cars that run on diesel ended up on forecourts being sold second-hand. But all things being equal within the European Union and in Ireland, it didn't really matter. Diesel was selling, petrol was selling, and all was fine. Until the Green Party decided a good thing to do would be to base the tax on CO2. So the figures I can access from the SIMI allow me to be able to look back as far as 2007. This is 1 year before the Green Party decided it would be a good idea to change the tax system to CO2 emissions. Up to this point, car tax was based on the size of the engine. So the bigger the engine, the more tax you paid. Now it was based on CO2. That standard meant that in 2008 and 2009, a 2-litre diesel was cheaper to tax than a 1.6 petrol. So naturally, the market shifted away from petrol. Add to that, you've got the point of businesses can reduce their VAT load by buying a diesel car over a petrol car. You can't claim the VAT back off an electric car. You can't do anything with an electric car. And so you're at this one single point in the world where diesel is completely distorting the market. So you can see here between the figures of 2007 and 2011 that petrol lost ground by 80%, diesel gained ground by 20%, even up to 2014, 2015, 74% down on petrol alone. But something bigger and more remarkable came along in 2008, moving into 2009. And that was a market crash. The entire Lehman Brothers system broke the world financially. And that completely changed how everyone's going to buy cars anyway. So you could do what you wanted with CO2. Car sales were about to fall off a cliff.
This is it, the document that sets out the savage cuts ahead.
Be careful walking out, it's rather slippery today.
It has been for a while, Mr. Lenihan, and the financial forecast is looking pretty treacherous.
And treacherous it was, a double whammy. The Green Party got their way to change over to CO2, which killed petrol sales, and now the entire world market had died a death, killing off whatever was left of the car industry. Between 2007 and 2010, even though there was a financial crisis, even though we had a situation whereby the entire world market had ground to a halt, CO2 emissions were high on the cards, yet diesel sales continued to rise. The problem was, petrol sales fell by nearly 80%. At this stage in kind of 2010, electric cars were nowhere to be seen. There was a Nissan Leaf you could have in the market, and that was pretty much it. Total 2010 sold of electric cars, 18. By 2014, there was a slight change. We got to nearly 50, 49 electric cars sold. But then 2013, 2014 onwards, something else happened. Dieselgate. Dieselgate was a gigantic financial headache for absolutely everyone, not just Volkswagen. They were just the ones who got caught. They were the ones who had the finger pointed at them, but pretty much every company was fiddling with diesel at some point or had given up trying to chase the American market. But none of this seemed to trouble diesel sales. But thinking logically for a minute, where does diesel even come from? In 1924, MAN got together with Mercedes-Benz and put a diesel engine in a truck. Sensible idea. Diesel is able to run on basically anything, and Rudolf Diesel had already investigated running on peanut oil, vegetable oil, any oil that he could find. He kind of settled on lamp oil because it was readily available. You can get it anywhere. At that time, there wasn't actually a diesel fuel, only a diesel engine. It wasn't really until 1935 when they came up with the Mercedes-Benz 260D did a car come out with a diesel engine. Took a while, huh? The start of success for diesel engine was actually the end of success for Rudolf Diesel, as he focused on blocking patent changes to his engine, add-ons and bits that other companies were kind of working on in the background to make their own version of a diesel engine. Well, he spent all of his time, instead of developing new stuff, he just sat in the background and tried to block everyone else from making new stuff. It didn't work. Problem was, it just came out anyway. He began to lose money. A hell of a lot of money. On September the 29th, 1913, Rudolf Diesel put a last entry in his diary, which was nothing more than a cross or a crucifix. Then he took a ferry to the English Channel, never arrived on the other side. He committed suicide after creating his engine, patenting his engine, and then spending the rest of his years blocking everybody else getting access to it. The lavish lifestyle of his family, his friends, and all his relatives, and even himself, drained every penny the man had. That didn't stop the engine continuing on into production.
We've had diesel race cars go on to win Le Mans. Even airplanes running on diesel. And of course modern day machines that are still running on diesel you can still buy in the dealership today. This BMW Estate is a 2-litre diesel, like most others. Workhorses that have to work off-road. These cars have to get into places no other car can and can't wait for an electric charge up, so this has to be a diesel. Sport utility like this Ranger Raptor running on diesel is also available as a big V8 petrol. Even the SQ5 is a diesel in Ireland. So what's the future? Are we all electric, or will diesel still be around?
That's an ESB substation. It's able to supply enough power to power this whole district here. All these connecting lines going all over the place. Now, can it power every one of these cars if they were taken off the road and turned into an electric car? That's a bit of an issue. That's a bit of a problem. That's a thorny issue that really gets people going who are EV evangelists. I think electric is part of the future. I think diesel is safe for a few years yet, because what the hell else are we going to run all these sailing ships on, boats on, third world countries, the Arctic Circle? These electric things just can't survive there. Only diesel, and Rudolf Diesel's creation, can survive there.
The race is on for the electric solution and everyone is trying to get into the mix. Volkswagen with their ID3 and ID4 to name but two. Tesla, who'd never made an internal combustion anything, got a decent head start, but they'd still struggled to deliver on time. Mercedes have their EQC range and they said look to dominate if it ever gets finished. Kia and Hyundai have stolen everyone's thunder by getting a full set of cars on a road that really work and go the full distance. Jaguar got a great start. The I-Pace was heralded to be the best driver's car you could have. Yet it's run into every kind of problem you could possibly have at the moment, and Jaguar's in financial difficulty. Audi have the e-tron and still fail to deliver every one of them on time. Battery problems abound. Like everyone, they struggle with infrastructure.
This pandemic has given us a shot in the arm. It's given us an idea of what it might be like if we didn't all go outside and do business. We didn't go places or do anything in our cars. The sound of birds, the sound of silence, just people moving about, is getting shattered by the cars coming back onto the road as we reduce and flatten the curve here in Ireland. And we've done an amazing job at it, and we're about to mess it up. Whether it turns out good or bad, I don't know. But I do know one thing. The pandemic has taught me to respect the environment a bit more. I've seen more bees, I've seen more birds, I've seen more insects, I've seen more growth and flowers, and all because we go out less, all because we're taking time to see it. Diesel engines, they're going to be around for years yet. Nobody can really afford to make the big changes that are required ahead. Look how hard they're working in the background to try and get electric cars on the market in the first place. It's a pretty tough ask. We need to reassess and re-examine what we're doing and how we're using products and why we want to use it into the future, because you know what? It is our future. 10, 15, 20 years from now, I want to make sure my kids have a good time too, you know. We're not subjected to this pandemic, smells, diesel engines and stuff in the air. We want to make sure that's gone too. Let's rebalance the market though. Let's not always think about the latest gadget being the best thing. Anyway, listen to that. That's the diesel. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of thing. If you do, subscribe for more, because I will make more if I think I get more subscribers from it. That's how this works around here. There's some listed links down below. But until the next time, I will see you on the far side.